Okay, Chris Speaks back with Brandon Moseley for our BTS State of Alabama podcast, and we've got GOP Agriculture Commissioner here with us, Corey Hill. Mr. Hill, for people who don't know you, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background?
Sure. So I reside in Marshall County. I've been the mayor of Douglas since 2012. And for what we do for a living, we operate a full-time farming operation. We have 5 breeder pullet houses and about 120 mama cows. And my family also operates a local grocery store there in Douglas. My wife and I bought that from the family in 2010. So the kids, we got 3 grown children, a 31-year-old daughter, 29-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and 8 grandchildren, and been married to my high school sweetheart for 37 years. And we just all one big family operation. The kids are back from college and living on the farm close by. Some of them work off the farm, some of them work on the farm, but we just farm full time and grow the food that you eat and love doing it.
Just so for the audience, so anybody who might have got confused by the last few days event, you are in a primary runoff on June 16th, not August 11th, but June 16th versus Christina Werner McInnis for Ag Commissioner. How's the campaign going?
It's going well. We've been on this road probably 3 years, I guess, but it's really ramped up the last, I guess, 6 or 8 weeks. We're somewhere every day except Sunday. We're doing one event a day, but sometimes 3, but usually try to do 2. And we're just all over the state. I've been in Chilton County, Jefferson County, Marshall County, and Blount County just today.
Oh, really? What part of Blount County? That's where I live.
Went to the Cleveland to the multipurpose center over there, and the new one they built a few years ago in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. I wish that. No, I would have came up there. I just live right down the street in Locusport.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite aspect of farming?
The reason I've stayed in it, I enjoy being my own boss and doing what I want to do. But I don't plant row crops like a lot of farmers, like the germination, putting the seed in the ground, watching it grow and getting the results. We do that with baby chickens. We keep our chickens 5 months, so we keep them a long time. So when we get little yellow baby chickens, then you kind of get a reset every 5 months. So you get to start over basically. And if you had a bad batch last time or something didn't go well, you can start over. But seeing those baby chickens come in and then getting to start them fresh out in life and taking care of them and grooming them for their next chore in life is what I probably enjoy the most.
For viewers that aren't all that up to date on agriculture, how big a business is chickens in Alabama?
We process in Alabama 22 million chickens a week. That's a lot of chicken. Now we're the #2 state behind Georgia, and there's speculation that in a few years we will be the #1 state simply because with the growth of Atlanta keep on growing outwards, it's going to push that rural area south of Atlanta into more urbanization. So I don't know if that's true or not. South Georgia is still pretty rural. But we are #2 in the nation. And of course we love chicken in Alabama. Southerners do, but we sell chicken feet to other countries. I mean, there's not much waste. Even when they process those chickens, whatever's left that can't be consumed is generally put into dog food. There's not much waste. And then we happen to be the #2 catfish producing state in the country, which is pretty exciting. We encourage people to eat more U.S. and Alabama catfish. However, they don't do that. We have a lot of Vietnamese catfish in this country, and we're going to put a stop to that. If I'm your ag commissioner, we can stop that at the port with testing and just shutting it down, and that's our plans for that. But yeah, chicken's a big industry in Alabama. $77 billion is the whole ag economy, and one way to look at it is if the ag economy was gone out of Alabama, it didn't exist, to generate the same amount of money, every adult in Alabama would have to write a check for $15,000 to the state treasury to generate that same amount of economic impact.
I've been reading about where we're losing farmers. How can we make it more profitable for them to stay in business?
the biggest thing, the issue now is the input cost. You know, diesel's $5 a gallon, and I think the easiest thing we can do, that's not easy, but it's easiest, is create markets for our farmers. You know, farming is the downside to farming is we don't get to set our price. We take our cows to the cow sale, whatever they bring, they bring. We plant 1,000 acres of corn, and whatever the Cargill's paying, that's what we get for our corn. So we got to find a way to get those farmers another market, which is why I encourage folks to go to the local farmers market, find you a local beef producer and buy freezer beef from them. Check out Sweet Grown Alabama and always try to buy from those local farmers. There's a ton of farmers listed on that website, and whatever's in season, they're going to give you directions right to their farm to buy local. So one way I think we're going to look at this is try to get more of our Alabama grown things in the school, in the lunchrooms. And we have a good program of that now. The schools get reimbursed by the state for putting local products on children's plates. 20 cents of every time they put an apple, a banana, or an orange, which I know they're not grown in Alabama, but anytime they put those on plates of school children, that school gets 20 cents per item. So 3 items is 60 cents. We're going to try to grow that program and put protein on their plate. There's a lot of producers in Alabama that are growing beef, and pork is also. So I'd love to get some sausage on those kids' plates in the morning for breakfast. And then we look at also our local prisons, our county jails and all. We can encourage them, incentivize them in some way to buy Alabama products when it becomes available.
In 2020, we had the COVID shutdown, and we shut down, businesses all over the country. And, where it was probably most felt was when we shut down the meat packers. And then all of a sudden, steers that were worth $1,000 went to the sale and there was no buyers for them. After that, there was a big push to put, more slaughter, to try to break up some of the big packers and try to maybe get some packers back here in Alabama. I know the Porch Creeks, got a bunch of headlines for starting a packing plant. Did that plant ever come online?
It did. Their goal was to do like 100 head a week or a month. They had a big goal, and they have got there, but they've actually struggled getting production up because of labor, and they're going to get there. We can use that as an example down the road. One thing that I'm excited about is the federal government right now. If you like their process at Atmore, it's regulated by the USDA. If there's a bill in Congress now, the U.S. Congress, that if it passes, and we think it will, that Alabama can create our own beef processing plants. And if the animal is grown in Alabama, processed in Alabama, sold in Alabama, and consumed in Alabama, it never crosses the state line from hoof to belly, then we can write our own rules of processing. So we've looked at that. Other people in the industry, not we, but industry leaders have looked at that and feel like we can open up processing plants that will be kind of like a health department inspection. And that will open up opportunities for a lot of people. There won't be a processing plant in every county because that'd be too expensive. But right now, the reason we don't have more like Atmore is because the cost for inspections, the overhead. So a lot of these little small guys that do a lot of deer processing, they would do beef if they could follow these rules, but the federal rules are too restrictive. So that's going to be a game changer if that law passes. It's called the Prime Act, and that'll allow us to have those in Alabama, more of them. And you won't see another one like Atmore where they're trying to kill 100 cows a week, but you'll have a lot of them open up that can do 5 or 10 cows a week, and it's going to be exciting. I think that's something that's really going to be good for the beef industry in Alabama.
Mr. Hill, I've been reading about how China's buying up our farmland, and I don't think people realize what a threat that is, because if you can't control, you feed your population. Is there anything as ag commissioner you can do to stop that?
There's nothing the ag commissioner. However, I'm proud to say that in Alabama, China does not own any land in Alabama, nor will they ever, because our legislature stopped that 2 years ago when they implemented bills to disallow foreign adversaries from buying Alabama land. So that's
okay.
For us, nationwide, they own a couple million acres, probably China does, but in Alabama, they don't own any land.
When I got out of college, of course, I have an ag degree. I went to work for Carroll Foods, which eventually got bought up by Smithfield, which eventually got bought up by the Chinese. And, today I think Smithfield owns 25% of all the hogs in America. Have we had too much consolidation in the industry nationwide?
I think so. And it frustrates me as a citizen that a few years ago, I believe it was the Biden administration stopped a steel mill from being bought by another company in the US. It was up north because we would have lost some competition. They stopped that, but yet they continue to allow our food processors to consolidate, which is very frustrating to me. At the state level, we have no control over that, of course, but we need to engage with our legislators, our Congress, and I have done that. I think our whole society, our whole United States is understanding that more, and we probably need to get away from that. I think there's the big four meat processors process about 85% of all of our meat, and two of them are jointly or solidly owned by foreign countries. So it is not an issue today, but if the wrong people got mad at us, it could be an issue. We need to make sure we don't go any deeper in with this process we're on. Smithfield does own a lot of the hogs. Fortunately, in Alabama, they don't own, there's not any, well, I don't say any, there's not many, if any, foreign hogs. There's only about 10,000 hogs in Alabama, and over 3/4 of them are owned by Auburn University. So there's not any big hog operations in Alabama because of environmental concerns and different reasons. But when we grew up, everybody had a hog out in the backyard, but that ain't common anymore like it used to be.
Michelle, are you concerned with these solar farms taking up our farmland? And I mean, do we need to put a stop to that?
I think we do. Yeah, solar farms and data centers. I don't know why suddenly in life every community's got to have a data center. Overnight, it seems like they just spring up. Ag Commissioner, of course, can't stop that, but we're going to fight to make it not popular. And here's what I would like to do is we have visited Florida a few years ago and looked at some cattle in South Florida, and they have a program in Florida, and it's got to be funded by the legislature. We have all these big ideas as Ag Commissioner. Nothing can happen without the legislature because that's where the money comes from. But they have a thing called a conservation easement program. And if you own land in Florida, if you own 10,000 acres and you want your children to always farm it or always be agriculture, the day you die, they're going to sell it for condos. You can go to the state government and say you're 10,000 acres, you take 5,000 of it. You can take it all, but you sell it to the state. You sell rights of it to the state, and they pay you fair market value for that land today. And you can have more money coming in to help your farmer operation. What that does, it places a hold on that land. It can be sold and traded. It can be sold 1,000 times, but it can never be developed other than what it is, what's in that contract with the conservation. When it's row crops, it's got to remain farmland forever. Like I said, you can sell it. It can change hands. That don't stop the sale of it. It just can't be developed. And that's what we need to look at in Alabama and see if there's some state monies available for that, or possibly even some federal dollars. There's a lot of money that comes to the ag department from the federal government, and most of it's earmarked, but some of it's not earmarked. And we could pool that money with some state money and try to create that. Because I think even our legislatures that I've talked to are kind of seeing, hey, we got an issue with these data centers and solar farms. We got to protect our farmland because we're all real proud of being rural Alabamians, but another generation, none of us going to be because they're taking over our land.
Older people like me remember when, I remember hanging out with my grandparents and, we found up some hogs and we raised our own chickens and we raised our own ducks and had the 3-acre garden and, even truck farmed a little bit of squash. And, we had a lot of knowledge of how things operated. A child today, who grows up in town and, watches TV and plays on his phone, probably has no idea how hamburger got here or, that bun used to be wheat growing in a field somewhere. How do we as a state, I mean, as a people, this is probably a bigger issue than Department of Agriculture. How do we avoid losing that knowledge, the things that you and I take for granted, the next generation, the generation after that, as far as average Alabamians, they don't have any of that. How do they get where they sort of understand how the world works a little bit better than they do?
Well, you're exactly right. And I don't have the concrete answer other than to say that, you know, like you said, you grew up on a farm, I grew up on a farm, and even for a generation or two, the kids could go back to Papa's house in the summer and visit the farm, and that's definitely going away. We had a petting fair every year in our county. We take animals to schools, and I always loved, there's second graders, and I always loved manning the goat booth because you could, those kids come up and have a little brown goat there and say, hey, y'all know what this is? 9 times out of 10, they would say deer or Bambi. They thought the goat was a deer. So it was kind of comical, but it was fun educating them too. But I think we need to get some, they had the DARE program in school with drugs. We could look at a program like this with food and educate children at a young age where their food comes from. There's a program now in Alabama, Ag in the Classroom, where teachers can apply. I think they take, 50 or so a year, or maybe 100 to different spots in the state. This year, I think it's going to be in the Prattville area this summer. But they'll take teachers from around the state, elementary kids, and take them back to this 3-day event and educate them on farm activities. And they make farming things like, it's kind of like Bible school where you used to make a craft, but they have crafts they make to teach little kids about farming, and they take that back to their school. They've been doing that 4 or 5 years, maybe a little longer. That's a great program. We could expand that, but somehow get the information to the children in the school about how important their food is. There's a school in Marshall County that has a nursery greenhouse, and they grow a lot of lettuce and other things on campus, and they put it in their lunchroom. And those kids that are involved in growing that get real excited when they get to brag to their friends, hey, I grew that lettuce that you're eating today. And it gives them kind of fulfillment. And I think that's a program that we want to look at to maybe not make them do it, but any school that wants to do that and have a greenhouse, maybe through their FFA program or their Learning Center program or whatever group on campus wants to challenge that, to do that program and then put that food in the lunchrooms and kind of use it as an education tool of where their food comes from.
Along those same lines, the FFA, do they still put an emphasis on that in schools like they was? I mean, because I know, we had to take ag when I was in school, and there was a big, big teaching on that.
Unfortunately, in some areas of the state, FFA is not pushed by certain school districts, but we fought that. We in Marshall County a few years ago, our previous superintendent, not the one now, disbanded FFA in one of the most remote rural schools in the county. And I think it was out a year, and we kind of had the farmers up there had an uproar and kind of got involved and got the state involved a little bit. And I think they actually changed the way they fund ag teachers. I said FFA. They actually got rid of the ag program. So FFA is strong in the state right now. The ag program is kind of weak in some pockets, but the ones that are doing a good job with it are doing great with it.
We talked about the fish a little bit earlier. I mean, I can remember about 20 years ago when probably or 25 years ago, the most dynamic part of the Alabama ag economy was all the people down there in Greene County and Hale County growing fish. You drive through there and there were, brand new tractors, were doing, but aerating the waters to grow more fish. Now we've got so much foreign competition. I mean, even on our shrimp boats where, we get, shrimp from, grown in a pond in Chile or, fished off the coast of Japan or something. Like Tuberville has an article about that today. What can we do to help Alabama grown fish compete when we've got other countries dumping product here in our market?
What I plan to do, and I hope if I'm not elected, I hope I am elected, but if I'm not, I hope the next ag commissioner will do this, go to the Port of Mobile and inspect all of that food that comes in. The ag commissioner has the authority to inspect the food. I'm not saying they're not doing it now because I have no idea if they are now. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but they did get kind of relaxed on it during COVID. And I think when fish has been tested in the past regularly, they found some kind of pretty foreign objects in that fish that we didn't want to eat, and they turned some loads around and sent them back. And I think if we do that and stop the imports, if we could just ban foreign fish and seafood, that's what we're going to do. But if we can't legally do that, we're going to test it and make sure that it's the best it can be, because it's no secret to people in the ag industry, catfish that we consume in this country that's not from this country is typically grown in sewage lagoons in Vietnam. And I don't think we need to be eating that. And the consumer just don't know to ask. It's supposed to be posted in the restaurants, either on the menu or on a sign on the wall. It don't say Vietnamese. It just says USA or not USA. So you gotta use your judgment and think, well, if it's not USA, there's a good chance it's Vietnamese and it's grown in a sewage lagoon, and I don't want to eat that fish.
I eat regularly I won't name them, but at a fish restaurant, and they have a sign that says, uh, we have seafood. Some of it is grown in the USA, some of it's grown in other countries, some of it's raised, caught wild, and some of it's caught in a pond, grown in a pond, farm raised.
Yeah.
It's a sign, but it doesn't really tell me a whole lot about what I'm actually
No,
doing at the moment.
it don't. And we got to do a better job of breaking that down. You could ask, and I've done this many times, you can ask before you order, and a lot of times they don't know, which means they're not being asked often enough. Hey, where's this catfish from? I don't know. Would you mind going to look and just go in the freezer, look at the box, see what it says? And it'll tell you on the box typically where it's from, and you get an idea. But now I think the reason that is so vague in what you're talking about specifically, and I'm not saying I support it, but there's so many seafood items. There's just some things you can't get in this country, and they got to come from other places. So I think they just lump that in there, that some of it's from different places. So you have to be specific on what you're asking. And I think that's important that we do that as a consumer. And probably now more than ever, our consumers want to know that they're eating fresh food and where their food comes from.
Hey, I got a question for you about those processing. You saw the meat processors a while ago. I noticed that, like, I go to S&S, this grocery store up here, and chicken's like $1.59 a breast or whatever. But at Walmart, it's like $6. I mean, meat's so much. Is that because they're using like one of those meat packing places as opposed to local processors here?
I don't know what the difference in price would be. I know in our grocery store, we order, we're in North Alabama, so we have every chicken company within 10 miles of us, fortunately. So like if I order, like today, I ordered chicken for my truck tomorrow. I had to have it in by 9 o'clock today. And so I get on my truck tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting fresh chicken that's processed today or tonight in my store tomorrow. And I'm not going to speak for any other retailer where their stuff comes from, but as an independent grocery store, we try to always utilize those local folks. And in our network of buying, the furthest away our chicken comes is from Georgia, maybe Pico Foods or something over there in Northwest Alabama or something out of Georgia, but it's usually pretty local. So I don't know where they're getting their chicken from. But now chicken breast, right now we have a thing we sell a lot of. It's called miscut breast. It's just an accident, I guess, kind of like a lot of things are miscut. They're not cut straight down the middle of the bone or whatever. We're selling those. They're pretty cheap now for breast meat. You can get them for a dollar, a little over $1 a pound. It's chicken legs right now. I think the wholesale cost on those are 60 to 80 cents a pound for our wholesale cost. So you can get them for about $1 a pound or so, or a little over $1 a pound. So chicken still, comparing to the beef prices, chicken's still pretty economical protein to eat.
Mr. Hill, we've had you over 35 minutes. Is there something you'd like to say before we go?
I would love to have you, but both of y'all, to vote for me and your listeners. I think I bring a lot of world knowledge to the stage to be ag commissioner. I've been supported by the Farmers Federation, the Cattlemen's Association, which is two of the hardest working groups in Alabama. We haven't had a production ag commissioner in that seat since Albert McDonald in the late 80s, and Albert grew food up in North Alabama and Limestone County area. So, we got a chance to put us there, and I think that's one reason the farmers are supporting me, because they know the dire straits they're in, and I know their needs and can help them have a solution to their problem, I guess. I don't know that we can fix it all overnight, but we're going to work hard for that. So I would love to have your support. Love to work hard for all Alabamians to protect your food supply and to make farmers more profitable. We got to do that so we can eat Alabama grown food and U.S. grown food in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Hill, and good luck on the 16th.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for what y'all do. I enjoy watching your podcast and your candidates on. It's very informative. I appreciate it.
Oh, great. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Uh, dun, dun. Um, I voted for McInnis in the primary, but I think I'm going to vote for him in the runoff now.
Yeah, he was a pretty good guest.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've interviewed Williams and I interviewed her. And I probably would have thought if we got to interview him before, I probably would have voted for him. But after talking with him, I think I'm going to change my vote.
Well, we'll try to get McInnis back on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's been, what, almost a year, right?
Yeah, we had her on like back in June or July. It was like a long
That's
time
what I
ago.
thought, because I went up there to
We
look
thought we'd
to,
have her on more regularly, but it was like, we got her, and then we really couldn't ever get in touch with her again.
yeah, I've got her campaign. What's her name? Terry Connell, I think's her name.
Yeah, we might want to reach back out to them.
Yeah, and get them back on. I'll text them. Hey, what was speaking of Terry's, what was the vote total with LaPointe and Rogers?
Oh, I don't remember.
Like
It wasn't that close. Terry may have had
Yeah.
13%.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like 80-20. That's usually where I think it's going to fall. I mean,
Rogers didn't spend a plug nickel in that race. So, I wouldn't read anything into it. And
Yeah.
really, Terry didn't spend a whole lot either because she didn't have it.
no, I mean, I like her, but I knew she didn't have a chance. Have you talked to Tuberville people anymore? I mean, I guess we can try to get them on about the fall now.
Yeah, I'll try to reach out to them again.
Okay. Well, I'll get these up here in a bit. But I think it's going to work out, so I'll let you go, Brandon.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Talk to you later.